Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to English grade 11 video lecture series. Students, today we will talk about grammar. And in grammar, we are going to deal with the same SLO, which is very comprehensive and generic. But today we will talk about pronouns and types of pronouns. The SLO says that you demonstrate knowledge and application of parts of speech in oral and written communication in varying degrees of complexity. Now, this SLO contains all the parts of speech in both the written and oral medium. In the last lecture, we talked about kinds of nouns. We have seen compound nouns, collective, countable, uncountable, etc. Now we will see pronouns. Here is your vertical linkage, dear students. And now think about pronouns. Can you name some pronouns? Think about the last time you had a conversation with somebody. Can you remember how often, how frequently you use words like I, me, this, that, who, or ours? These are all pronouns, but they are classified in different categories and types, which we will learn today. Now, when you introduce yourself or when you describe something, you are using pronouns all the time in replace of the nouns as a shortcut to save time and to make the sentence effective and also engaging. So in order to avoid repetition of nouns, we use pronouns. Pronouns are called pronouns because they are used in place of nouns. This is very simple to understand, students, and you have been learning pronouns from all the previous classes and earlier lessons. Now, let's talk about types of pronouns. Students, we can classify pronouns, and pronouns can be classified into different types based on their functions. Various types of pronouns are here. First, let us start with a type of pronoun called relative pronouns. They are pronouns used to relate one part of the sentence to another, and that's why we name them relative pronouns. Now, such pronouns are working as a joiner, as a linker. Some of relative pronouns are who, that, which, what, whom, and whose. Now, they connect an independent clause to a relative clause. We know independent clause stand on its own, and then we have a relative clause, a subordinate clause, and we link them. Relative pronouns are meant to provide more information about the subject it is relating to or it relates to. For example, the man who is honest is trusted. Now, this relative pronoun who is joining this part of the sentence with this other half. So if we remove it, the man is honest is trusted. The man honest is trusted. We need a linker, a connector. So the man, who is the man who is trusted? A man or the man who is honest is trusted. So for this linkage, we use relative pronouns for the relative clause and the independent clause. Now, we did not use which or that because we are referring to one subject, and that's why we are using who. The moment which is lost forever. We are talking about which moment? Moment that is lost. So, the moment which is lost is lost forever. So which here is working as a relative clause. Or this is a relative pronoun which we have used here. I know the house that he lives in. So I know the house. Which house? That he lives in. So the house he lives in, and knowing that house is linking with that. Then I don't know the names of my other neighbors whom I have never met. So I don't know the names of my other neighbors and I've never met. We are linking it. Who are we referring to and who are we relating to? Neighbors whom we don't know or we have never met. So who, which, that, and whom. These are our relative pronouns. Who is mostly used with the singular, with the subject, which is a living being. And which is talking about when we are referring to one entity or one thing. So, and whom as well. So students, these are all the different relative pronouns. They have different functions. They work to give us more information as we talked about in the definition. So it provided more information about the subject it is relating to. Who is relating to the subject? The man. The moment is relating to the other side, other part of the sentence by the word, by the relative pronoun which. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these pronouns are relative pronouns. Try to make sentences using them. So that is my brother whom you met at the class, whom you met in the class. So you are referring both these things with whom. All right. Now let's talk about possessive pronouns. Students, these pronouns are showing possession, that if you own something or possess something, then you use these possessive pronouns. They are used to show possession. Some of possessive pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, theirs, and its. Now these pronouns are referring to other pronouns in the possessive way. For example, if you want to say that this book is of that man or belongs to somebody or a friend, so you can say this book is his. So his here is showing the possession, who owns the book and who possesses the book. So his is a possessive pronoun, and this is for males. This is for the male gender, the masculine. These shoes are yours. It means we are referring to the second person, and yours is showing possession. This book is mine. That bag is hers. That car is theirs. So we are actually showing possession of different pronouns with different things and subjects. Let's talk about reflexive pronouns. Another kind of a very important pronoun which is called reflexive pronouns. They are used to refer back to the subject in the sentence. Some of reflexive pronouns are myself, yourself, herself, himself, oneself, itself, ourselves, themselves, and yourselves. Notice that the singular reflexive pronouns are ending with self in the first person, the second person, and the third as well. And for plurals, we are using the plural form of self, which is selves. So ourselves, we are referring to more than one people, themselves referring to more than one people, and yourselves is also in the same category. For example, now self is showing reflection, and that's why we call them reflexive pronouns. So If we want to refer back to the subject, we actually use reflexive pronouns. Like in the example, he talks to himself sometimes. Who does he talk to? Himself. And he, himself, not herself, itself, or any other reflexive pronoun, but according to the pronoun, we are going to use the reflexive pronouns. Now, can you read the next example? They blamed themselves for what happened. Since we have the plural pronoun they in the third person, we are going to use the same level and same kind of reflexive pronoun themselves. I did the homework. I. So we will have our first person reflexive pronoun myself. She. We are referring to third person, then we will use the third person reflexive pronoun of feminine gender, herself. She herself cooked the dinner. I did the homework myself. They blamed who? Themselves. He talks to himself. So we are referring the pronoun to the actual subject. And this is how we use our reflexive pronouns. They are showing a reflection of the subject in the sentence. And this is for showing that who does the action and who's taking the blame, etc. Now, I hope that the previous pronouns are clear. Let's talk about another type of pronoun. Students, all these pronouns, these kinds are very important to understand, because if we use incorrect pronoun with in any other situation, then that sentence will lost its meaning and that would be considered incorrect. Let's look at over here, talk about emphatic pronouns. What kind of pronouns are they? They are used to add emphasis, and that's why we call them emphatic. To show emphasis, to show actually force and importance to a noun or pronoun, stressing the importance of the subject in the sentence. So when we are showing actually emphasis, we are using emphatic pronouns. For example, I did the homework myself. She herself cooked the dinner. So instead of saying she cooked the dinner, she herself, without any help, we are emphasizing on the pronoun, the subject, she. She cooked the dinner. It's a right sentence if we remove herself. But herself, this reflexive pronoun is added to show emphasis and to show more focus and importance of the subject. So showing importance, we are using emphatic pronouns. Emphatic pronouns can be removed without altering the sentence's core meaning, just like we did here. I did the homework. If I remove this emphatic pronoun, the sentence is still correct. It stands correct. So, this is the litmus test of testing emphatic pronouns. Even if you remove the pronoun, the emphatic pronoun, it still makes sense. But we are adding it for showing importance. Reflexive pronouns indicate that the subject acts upon itself, cannot be removed without changing the meaning of the sentence. So, they drove the car themselves. He cleaned the room himself. So, you can create a lot of emphatic pronouns and you can make sentences using the emphatic pronouns. They're very important to show emphasis again and again, and they are very much comprehensive as well. Now, students, when we are talking, we are referring to things demonstrating the location of anything. So for that purpose, we are going to use demonstrative pronouns as they are demonstrating something. So these are the pronouns that are used to point to specific objects. Some objects are far, some are near, some are plural or singular as well. So, some examples of demonstrative pronouns are this, that, these, and those. This and that for singular, and these and those for plural things or plural objects. Now, let's look at how the demonstrative pronouns are working. This is a present from my uncle. We are referring to this present which is in our radius and in our very close environment. So this is a present from my uncle. We are referring to one present, a present with the definite with an indefinite article. So this is a present from my uncle. That is the red fort. It means the red fort is a little far away. So when we are referring and demonstrating this thing, we are using that. I like all kinds of chocolates, but these are my favorites. Why are we using these? We are talking about more than one chocolate. So that's when we will use not this, but these. Those are my notebooks on the desk. Now we are referring something that is a little far, and there are notebooks in the plural form. So we are going to use those. So students, this, that, these, and those, they are demonstrative pronouns. Very easy to use. Now it's time for you to practice them and refer to things that are near you and far from you. Whether they are singular or plural, we have word or a pronoun for each one of them. Now, let's talk about indefinite pronouns. Students, when we are talking about the word indefinite, it means that we cannot define it. So, indefinite pronouns do not refer to any particular person, place, or thing. Some of indefinite pronouns are someone, somebody, something, anyone, anybody, anything, no one, nobody, everyone, everybody, everything, one, each, none, few, and many. All of these pronouns are actually indefinite because we are not referring to any particular thing, any specific thing. We are actually indefinite about these pronouns. So, if you are not sure that who stole your watch, you refer to him or her as somebody. Somebody has stolen my watch. Now, somebody is an indefinite pronoun. We are not talking about or pointing anybody and not any masculine or feminine gender. So, and we don't know the quantity of people who are involved in this activity. So, we say somebody has stolen my watch. Nobody was there to rescue the child. Few escaped unhurt. Anybody can do it if they try. Anybody refers that any person. Now, which person is that? We are not sure, we are not specific or particular. Anybody can do it. Few escaped unhurt. How many of them? We cannot name them, we cannot count them, but we can just say and use the indefinite pronoun few. Very few, less people. Nobody was there to rescue the child. Not a single person was there. Somebody has stolen my watch. So somebody, nobody, few, anybody, and all the rest of these pronouns are indefinite pronouns. When you are not sure and when you are not referring to a specific person, place, or thing, you can say that we are going to use indefinite pronouns because we are not definite about these things. So, let's talk about reciprocal pronouns. Students, these are just two pronouns. They are working in groups, each other and one another. And these are all the reciprocal pronouns we have. Reciprocal pronouns are used to express a mutual relationship. Yes. Each of these reciprocal pronouns share a relationship. Some of reciprocal pronouns are each other and one another. For example, the brothers quarreled with each other. It means, now let's see, the subject, we have a plural, the brothers. Maybe, let's say two brothers, two siblings, quarreled. Quarreled is our verb. They are quarreling, they are fighting with each other. It means that both of them, the brothers, are involved in this activity. They are doing the same thing, the action with each other. So it means that in quarreling, they are sharing a mutual relationship. Next, how are we going to use one another? Are they the same? Yes. This is for two people and this is for more than two. They all gave evidence against one another. All of them, whether they are 5, 6, or 7 people. So, they all gave evidence against one another. It means all of them are involved. Now they share a mutual relationship because every person gave evidence for the other person. So this is when we use one another. The students helped one another in the class. Means every student was a participant and sharing a relationship with each other in terms of helping. Now, another type is distributive pronouns. Now, students, distributive pronouns are actually each, either, and neither are called distributive pronouns because they refer to persons or things one at a time. So when we are referring to things one at a time, we are distributing and then taking them one at a time. So that's why they are called distributive pronouns. For this reason, they are always singular and as such followed by the verb in the singular. So what do we understand? Each, either, and neither are called distributive pronouns and they are referring to things one at a time and they are always treated as singular. For example, now each is used to denote every one of a number of person or things taken singly. Now when we say each, we are referring to everybody and in the same way. Either means the one or the other of two. Neither means not the one nor the others of two. This is totally for negation. This is for choosing one. It is the negative of either. So neither is negative of either. How are we going to memorize? With the capital N or the N. N is for negative. And this is how you can memorize that either is the opposite of or they are opposites of each other. Hence, we can say either and neither, either or neither should be used only in speaking of two persons or things. So when we have two persons, we can either choose either or neither. For example, each took it in turn. So it means that all of the persons or people are involved. Either of these roads lead to the railway stations. We have two roads and both of them are going to the railway station. So if you took this road or this road, they will still lead you to the railway station. But if you say neither of the accusations is true, so if we have 4 accusations about somebody, if somebody is accusing somebody with heavy accusations, you can say, if you want to say that none of it is true, you can say neither of the accusations is true. Since we are using neither, it is taken as a singular and that's why we are using the singular helping verb. Each, it, singular. Each of these roads leads to the railway station. Either of these roads lead to the railway station. So you see that how we are, when we are referring to all of the things, one of them or not any one of them. We can use each, either, and neither respectfully. Now, students, here are some pronoun cases that we need to be aware of. For example, now personal case of pronouns, it means we are going to refer to personal pronouns. Personal case of pronouns are used to substitute or for alternative proper names. Some examples of personal pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, they, him, her, us, and them. These are personal because it is referring to every person, whether they are singular, in second person, or in third person, whether they are singular or plural. So these kind of pronouns are personal pronouns. Now, personal pronouns have three main cases. One referring to the subject of the sentence and one to the object. The first is used to replace the subject of the sentence. Now, all these are actually subjective case of personal pronoun because we are referring to the subject and we have replaced the subject. Subjective case of pronouns are pronouns that perform the action in a sentence. Some subjective cases are I, you, we, he, she, it, and they. And if we do the objective case of pronouns are pronouns that receive the action, just like objects that we have learned in direct and indirect object. Some of the object pronouns are me, us, him, her, and them. So these are your subjective cases of personal pronouns and these are your objective personal pronouns. Now, subject does the action, as we know, and object receives the action. So when the pronouns are at the receiving end, you are going to use these objective pronouns, and when the pronouns are at the doing end of the action, then you are going to use these kinds of personal pronouns in the subjective case. Now, let's look at pronoun cases in a table. So first person, whether it is masculine or feminine, we have pronoun cases subjective, possessive, and objective. Now subjective is to show the subject. Singular subject for the first person, I, which I am referring to myself, and the plural will become we. So if I'm going to say if it's me and my friend, I can use the plural first person we. We went to the class. For possessive case, it is used for showing possession like my or mine, and the plurals will be our and ours. Objective case is me, and if you are more than one, then it will become us. So we have three cases of pronoun: subjective, possessive, and objective, and we have words for each one of them, whether it's singular or plural, and we have to use them accordingly. Now, let's talk about the second person. We know that you is for second person. So, the pronoun case for second person, same subjective, possessive, and objective, but for singular or plural second person, we are both referring to you. Possessive is becoming your or yours, and objective case will be you. For third person, we have pronoun cases like subjective, he. This is for masculine, this is for males, and we know that she is used for singular feminine. We have neutral as well when we are referring to inanimate objects. And when we are using plural, all genders, then we are using they. So for possessive case, to showing possession, like that book is his. For male, we are going to use his in the third person. For female, her or hers. For neutrals, we are going to use its. And for plurals of all genders, we are going to use their and theirs. For objectivity, for objective case, which is used for an object, then you're going to use him, her, it, and them respectfully. So students, it is very important that you memorize this chart of both these three personal pronoun cases, whether they are for first person, second person, or third person respectively. Now here are some examples of both the subjective case of pronouns and objective case of pronouns. Let's look at some exemplary sentences. I am going to the store. I am going to the store. So, what is the subject? I. And I is a pronoun and it is also a subject. So, this is a subjective case of pronoun. And you can find out the rest of them by yourself. They are in the bold. And for objective case of pronouns, when the action is happening on the object, on something that is our object, and we are going to refer to them as pronouns, but they will be objective case of pronouns because this is an object. All of these I'm underlining, I'm circling are objects. So we have pronouns for all of them. The teacher called who? Who did the teacher call? The verb is happening on me. So me is the objective case of pronoun and the rest of them are following the same pattern. Now students, we know that we have some more pronouns, interrogative pronouns, for asking questions, for making interrogative sentences. For inquiring, for being inquisitive, we can use who, whom. They are used for persons only. So whenever you see the usage of who or whom, we will refer to them for persons. Who will replace the subject of a sentence, whereas whom will replace the direct or indirect object. So who is for subject and whom is for direct or indirect object. Who is for subject and whom is for object, direct or indirect. Whose is used for showing possession. For example, whose is this book? We are showing possession. Who spoke? Nominative. Who goes there? Who made the top score? And who is knocking at the door? We are referring to persons, and that's why we are using the interrogative pronoun who. Whom did you tell? To whom were you speaking? Now we have seen nominative for subjects, possessive for showing possession, and accusative for inquiring something in the form of accusation. Again, now we have which is a pronoun, is used for both persons and things. It implies selection. That is, it implies a question concerning a limited number. Which is your friend? And which of the boys saw him? Which of these books is yours? Here we use which for things, and here we used which for persons. Friends and boys. Now, lastly, the interrogative pronouns what is used for only things. For example, what have you found? What did you say? Or what is sweeter than honey? So what is mostly used for objects or things. Now students, this is your worksheet that is available. You will also be given a skill sheet and also a question bank to solve as resources to reinforce your learning and allowing you to practice the learned concept with practicality. You can solve the resources. You can find them easily as well. Now, for the homework, you have to identify the pronouns by reading the passage over here at the end. Identify each kind of pronoun that we have learned. either demonstrative, reflexive, interrogative, relative, etc. So you're going to label each one of these pronouns according to the kinds that we have studied. These resources are for your help. You can access them for better learning. And students, this is all for today's lecture. Pronouns, we have seen different kinds, and we have also seen possessive personal cases of pronouns, whether it is for first person, second person, or third person. We have seen both in the subject case and in the object case. Now, and we also introduced you with interrogative pronouns. Some are for objects, some are for persons, and some are for both of them. So the best thing that you can do is memorize the chart, write them down, practice making as many sentences as you can. But first, you need to understand that how you can identify these pronouns. So go through the lecture over again, take your notes, understand each and every kind very well with examples, and then you are good to go and you will have a very good grip on your pronouns. This is all about today's lecture. Let's wrap it up. I'll see you in the next video lesson, students. Till then, take care of yourselves and Allah Hafiz.